Thank you very much for all of you to be here today. And today we have our also appreciation to have David and Paul coming. And at the same time, all of you to come and share a little bit more about your programs and your projects and how is everything happening in our time together. So it's a lot of much appreciation to all of you because this community is just being built and it's just happening because all of us have this heart and intention of actually building a different way of our community in Latin America to evolve and actually start working and doing better things also together and together being in this learning process. So thank you, David. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Robert, for coming and sharing lots of content and lots of the efforts that you're putting as Pro-Social World and TWCF to our community in Latin America, but also to all this beautiful community who's been developing and working together and supporting each other throughout this month. And also appreciation for all of you and also the communities and people who's been engaging in these programs that I know that are many more than besides us. But we know because of the time and all these efforts, we need to be on the floor and also with the communities and the territories making the things working. So this appreciation goes to everyone, because the meaning of these programs just happens and have this value because of the efforts of everyone, since from the communities and all the territory people and the environment, when we think about the nature, animals and species. So if we combine all these elements, that actually makes the whole power and all the love that we are putting out together in the service together with this group and this time that we are investing together being here. So thank you so much for everyone to be. And I would like to start just very fast with our Mentimeter, with our check-in, where we actually would like to do, present. Anna, can you share the web link for me? I think it's in the, yes. So we're gonna just make this question to have this little time. But actually, what do you appreciate most about this TWCF journey that would like to share here and how you're coming to this meeting today? So if you think about that, it's also, we're gonna put in the 3 languages in the chat. Feel comfortable about writing your like as we are doing throughout this journey. If you feel more comfortable writing your message and answers in English and Spanish or Portuguese, feel more than welcome. And after we can read it and then the translators will be translating for us. Yes, wonderful people all together. This is amazing. This is something that I also agree. I think we have here a good community with good hearts, good service, good purpose, and good actions, wonderful actions, actually. Thanks, Gail, to TWCF, focusing us on our conservation and diving more deeply into areas that ordinarily we don't have the time to focus on. Thank you, Gail, to learn how to listen, taking a journey with some extraordinary people who are rising to the challenge of our time, making a difference, learning in community, that it's through the diverse experiences that all participants have, we build a collective knowledge. Today, I'm excited to continue learning. Thank you, everyone. Hi, me too, me too. So for me, what I've been appreciating the most is actually learning so much throughout this journey, that there's methods and methodologies, but also there's this good care of taking care of relationships and how beautiful and supportive the whole community is being, not just with us, but among each other. And this is being an amazing experience for me. Doesn't matter the language or the country, we feel like human beings working throughout this journey together. So thank you so much. Hope on the possibility of establishing sustainable collaboration across the projects and events, even in sectors. I appreciate all the work from the organizers, being in a community with people committed to healing and building relationships, guidance to make good intentions possible. I know much appreciation to the interpreters, and I know I'm reading very fast. So I'm sorry, and if you do need me to do a little bit more like slower, just ask me on the chat, please. Thank you. Thank you, Carol. Conscious culture evolution in action to know about fascinating initiatives working improve in pro of people and planet care in Latin America, a lot of energy that also energizes everyone. Mantener foco constante en un proceso
Keep
consciente.
constant focus on a aware and collaborative process. Create networks and synergies with other organizations, integrating and supplementing different visions.
So thank you, everyone. I'm gonna still keep on with this Mentimeter for a little while, but I would love to invite you, Robert. Oh, there's one more before. Las diversas, las diversas experiencias de los demás
The
participantes.
diverse experiences of the rest of the participants and ourselves helps us grow as persons and as organizations. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
So at this moment, I would like to invite you, Robert, to continue. And thank you so much for all the answers, everyone. And this is just the beginning of our journey today. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. Yeah, thank you. And greetings, everybody. It's I feel like this is a really important node in our journey so far for a number of reasons. I think I think today, for the first time, we're creating a real space for us to tell each other more concretely what we're trying to do in our part of the world. I mean, I've been privileged enough to have you all write to me about the projects you're engaging in, and I've talked one-on-one with you, and we've shared some time online. But, you know, yesterday is when Michelle and Marcelo and I were preparing for the call, and we listed, you know, the 13 organizations that are actually taking part in this process. We asked ourselves the question, I wonder how many people are actually being represented by us as a community, you know, and how many people that our projects are going to impact directly, but then indirectly. And we couldn't guess. I mean, when Michelle and Marcelo asked that, they recognized that their work is potentially going to impact on 120 people. And then we started wondering, I wonder what's the geographic locations? And gosh, and I thought, well, it's across Latin America, but also some groups are actually reaching into Africa and Southwest Asia as well. So it's even reaching globally. It's kind of amazing. And so at the end, after we've done all our presentations, we're going to do another Mentimeter to actually ask you all, how many people is this bit of work touching directly and indirectly? And what's our global reach? I think that'd be really interesting. Don't you reckon? Yeah. And so, and the other reason why I'm really excited about today is because not only are we kind of getting to know each other in that way, but because Paul and David are here. I mean, they're the primary investigators of this project, and they kindly invited me to be a part of it a few years ago. And together we've learned a huge amount, you know, and part of it for me is actually sharing the excitement of taking this journey with them, actually. So that's me. We're going to actually hear from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of 13 organizations today. And 2 of them have postponed their work to next year because they were just too busy this year for some reason or other. And Marconi couldn't make it for different reasons. So most of us are here, which is fantastic. A few people actually weren't able to come in person. So we'll be playing pre-recorded videos and showing you some photographs. So they've even set themselves up in their hotel room, wherever they are in the world, to actually be here indirectly via video. So it's kind of amazing. It's and I want to offer huge gratitude to all of you. I mean, just huge gratitude. I mean, the work we're doing together is so needed today, and it gives me a lot of hope, and I expect it gives you a lot of hope too, given all we're facing. That's just wonderful. Thanks, Michelle.
So to continue now, I'm not sure. Paul, would you like to say something? And also, is it possible to have a little like guided meditation to start our
Sure. Yeah,
moment?
be happy
Okay.
to. Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you. Yes, I was Robert and the team, Michelle, Marcelo, and invited myself and David just to say a few words at the beginning. And I was thinking about what I wanted to say, and I just seeing all that scroll up on the Mentimeter there of what is attractive to you about this. I was feeling this real sense of inspiration. I mean, we're all aware that we live in a time of I heard someone describe it the other day as meta crisis. It's like multiple crises coming together of climate change, biodiversity loss, alienation, loneliness, loss of meaning, loss of trust in governments and so forth. And I think from, you know, hearing some of the earlier conversations, some of the elements of that failing economic systems, failing political systems, but underneath that is this deeper problem, which I think you're all tapping into in one way or another, of separation, of disconnection from ourselves, and separation from each other, and separation from the planet. And this is what's so inspiring for me about this group, and I get quite moved by it. Actually, it's quite early in the morning, but to see a group of people such as yourselves that are embodying connection across these diverse projects is extraordinary. I mean, you've all got your own areas that you're passionate about and you're bringing all your energy to, and you're taking time out of that to come and be with others, to build bridges across those diverse projects and into connection with one another. And I just want to acknowledge you all actually for embodying the change that we need to see in the world, the growth of connection. And David's going to speak a bit more about the project more specifically and conscious evolution, perhaps. But right now, I'd like to just invite you to take a moment of silence with me. And I think going into that silence, just as a little provocation, I've been thinking about a poem lately that for me captures these both sides of our current experience, the challenge and the possibility, which I'm been trying to point to. It's also the thing which is deeply captured in the matrix. When we do the matrix tool, is that presencing of both the challenge and the possibility. And the poem is a short poem by Rainer Maria Rilke. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I'll put it in the chat just so we can sort of hold it. And it goes, "Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final." And so with that, I'd like to invite you just to hold for a moment the beauty and the terror. one thing that was occurring to me in that moment of silence was just wanting to also add a huge note of appreciation to Robert and Michelle, Marcelo, and all the wonderful translators and everybody who's assisted with this project. It's been, whoops, just seeing the depth of commitment and energy and passion that you've all brought to create this space together. I can't tell you how grateful I am. Thank you. And I'd like to pass to David. Is that right?
Great. Thank you so much, and thank you, Paul. So I want to emphasize just how special this project is. I think that it's one of the very most successful projects of pro-social world, and I actually think it's historic. That's how important I think it is. And I wanted to list some of the reasons why I think it's so special. The first one is a multi-level framework for ongoing interactions, a multi-level framework for ongoing interactions. So cultural evolution is an ongoing process. It does not have a beginning and an ending. And so the fact that we have created this framework where individuals, that's level 1, are part of teams is level 2, representing organizations is level 3, and those organizations expect to work with each other, level 4. All by itself is an innovation and something that's very important, something that we're trying to do in all of our projects now, because it sets up a framework for interactions, even before we get to the specific content of what gets discussed. And to have it sufficiently engaging and pleasurable and rewarding so that it just, people don't want to stop, they just want it to be ongoing is an accomplishment all by itself. Number 2, a common theoretical framework. Us scientists, like at universities like Helen and myself and Paul, we love to boast about the generality of evolution. Nothing makes sense except in the light of evolution. But what that means on the ground in this case is that these organizations can be so diverse, doing such different things, and yet we easily converse with each other. And how can that be? How is that possible? Except that we're speaking some kind of common language and we're understanding everything we do as a form of cooperation and adaptability. And so this is like the manifestation of the explanatory scope of evolutionary theory come to life in this project. Number 3 is our governance and adaptability tools. The fact that we all social interactions need structure, and that we have a really good idea of the structure that we need in the form of the core design principles and the adaptability tools of the matrix. And those are important all by themselves, but if they were just provided as like a how-to kit, they wouldn't nearly have the importance of that they do in this larger framework. And next, mind and heart. On the one hand, we're really science-based, but on the other hand, there's a huge value and feeling component. We can talk about spirituality without apology. And so we're really, I think, at its best, and this is true for cultural evolution in general, it's not just in the head. It's basically heartfelt in addition to mindfelt. Next, science and art. So once again, we're very science-based, but we also strive to communicate through art. And our video project, I think, is amazing that way, and an important facet of this project that we were happy to add to it. Next, can be taken to scale. The fact that we started with 8 institutions and we're already up to 13 about a year in is telling us that we could really add to our groups, are adding to our groups, and this could be taken to scale. So we could really begin thinking about conscious cultural evolution taking a root in Latin America. Next, the fact that it is emanating from Latin America, I think is awesome. And I think it adds a whole dimension that I think would not exist if this was taking place in America or Europe or, you know, elite universities or things like that. And so I think that the Latin America focus is wonderful. Next, catalytic. I love the idea of catalysis, which means that things can go much, much faster. The rate of evolution, the rate of cultural evolution is not fixed. It might require decades, or it might be possible in a matter of years. And so I think that we could actually bring about positive change in a matter of years, something that would otherwise take decades or not take place at all, is very motivating for me. And it keeps me working very hard that we could actually accomplish our objective in years, not necessarily in decades or not at all. And then finally, resourceable. And this is something I think is in our near future. The fact that we've done everything that we have, frankly, on the basis of a very modest grant from the Templeton World Charity Foundation, and of course, I'm very grateful to them for what we've been able to do. But of course, we're developing projects that do require our resources. And I think that based on our accomplishments, we will be able to resource what we're planning. And I was just talking with Mila earlier today, and she was emphasizing that more and more funders want to fund things at the ecosystemic level. They don't just want to give money to a single foundation. They want to do something big, and they want to fund something at the ecosystemic level. That's what they're looking for. And that's what we're beginning to be in a position to provide. And so I look forward to first of all, I look forward to today, right now, to see what's a brief report on everyone. And then I look forward to working in the next year of this project to really fulfill all of these things that I have listed. So thank you so much. I'm so appreciative of all of you, and looking forward to hearing from you during the rest of this session.
Thank you so much, David. I was always learning so much and being inspired by you and all this team for Social World who's been thinking and doing things, not just researching, but also emphasizing that the new waves and cycles are actually implemented and established in different parts of this world. So thank you so much for your words as well, because I'm always learning so much. Every time it's just single contact. So much wisdom that we've been having the opportunity in being together and learning. Also from all of you guys, the same thing. So much of wisdom and so much of knowledge and content we've been sharing with each other. And today we're going to have an opportunity to share a little bit more, because all these efforts that we are doing is not just impact our program and our ecosystem in our territory, but also emphasizing of this community that we've been building for this past month, with the opportunity of bringing even more, not just funds and investments, but also more efforts that we can combine and add among each other throughout this journey. I think this is one of the key parts and key opportunities that we have if we were not in this type of project. We have different organizations of multi-sectors, and at the same time based in Latin America. So thank you so much. And also we're going to start now. Our presentations is going to be just 5 minutes, but I would like to acknowledge all the organizations that we know and all the representatives that would like to be here together with us. And at the same time, we know that some of us and some of the organizations we are and the communities that we are working for, they're lacking with a little bit of technology or internet, and they could not be together with us at this moment. But I would like to acknowledge them too, because this is one of our cases with our indigenous tribe, which they would like to have and record the video from this meeting, but they could not do it to internet conditions. But at the same time, we will try to do our best to bring the message of our program in the territory, from the territory. Today we're going to start. I'm just going to make a little suggestions. I'm going to share a little bit about the order. If you need anything that it will need to be different, it's okay too. But I would just like to propose. Oh, just a second. Oh, always learning, always learning. Let's see if it's going to show. So here we have the agenda, the order of the organizations today. We're going to start with the Insight Chair. That's why we have 10, because we're also considering this is a very big part of our group, and also consider yourselves, right, Soleil, part of our community in Latin America. Then we're going to, after, start with Collab with the organizations. And then right after, before the break, we're going to have 5 minutes with all the organizations that today are focusing in your projects with education or youth. And after the break, we're going to work a lot with the organizations like University of Hohenheim, Community Conservation, Earth Regenerators, and One Earth Conservation. They're organizations facing a lot of the challenges in the projects and aspirations towards the environment. Okay. So at this moment, I would like to invite Soleil to start with your 5 minutes presentation related to Insight.
Thank you so much, Michelle and David, for that wonderful perspective. I thought when Robert invited me, what would be the best thing to share, because some of you are being part of the track of participatory video. So I thought the most exciting thing is to share with you the spirit and the vision of our work with Indigenous peoples around the world. As a non-for-profit organization, we work with people from lots of different backgrounds, and we work with lots of organizations like you and Change Bakers. But also at our heart is supporting Indigenous peoples in attaining their rights. And we also work a lot in Indigenous-led conservation. So I thought that could be applied to and relatable. So Robert is going to play a video where they talk, because I thought I'm not going to talk for them at all. So we can listen to them sharing a little bit.
Thanks, Soleil. Okay.
The great potential participatory video has is to bypass the intermediation of well-meaning people, such as myself, who for many years have been saying, this is what people on the other side of the world are saying. This is what they believe. This is what they're thinking. And people like me have done so for good reasons, because we want to communicate other perspectives to our own home audiences. But in doing so, we subtly and inadvertently change the message, because we inject our own views, our own personalities, without even being aware that we're doing so, into what is being said. And the crucial task is for people to be able to speak directly to each other around the world, without the danger of someone else ventriloquizing their worldview and their concerns about the world. And I think this is what participatory video unlocks, and this is why I really like this project, because it enables people to do that crucial thing, which is to talk as if it were one-to-one with someone who may be perhaps on the other side of the world.
This participatory video has brought in the voices of the women, the perspective of the rural women, and especially on important issues on the livelihood of the people, on the culture and social cohesion of the community. It has done a lot of change in our way of approach, especially in trying to bring about positive change in our own communities.
What I've seen through the years and through different communities in Mexico, in Africa and other places, is that the use of camera can give power back to communities and can be a channel for them to express themselves on their own way and to express whatever really concerns them in a way that is both understandable by the community but also for a wider audience. And that has settled a new standard of real participation.
Well, I can say that PV is bringing unity to our communities because it's opening dialogues and not only Yaqui people, also with others in Sonora. It's like to have a great opportunity to speak freely and say what you need to say or what is your heart want to say.
Participatory video has also been facilitated the dialogue with the government. It is felt as a fairly polite way of communicating concerns, so the government has come down to listen to the people and try to see how the challenges can be overcome by the communities.
La experiencia que me llevo de este viaje es que sé que
The experience that I take away from all
aunque
this
vengo de
journey is
otra
that
comunidad
I know that although I come from a
reflejada
different community,
en los demás, porque sé
I feel myself
que
reflected in the
nosotros
others.
estamos
I know
haciendo una lucha que
we're
debemos de
experiencing
apoyarnos
the same
y
struggles,
eso
and we need to
me
support
hace
each other.
sentir bien y sé que
And that
no
makes me
estoy
feel
sola.
good. It makes me feel that I am not alone.
We wanted to put a focus on change, and that means looking at what different groups think that means to them. And it was really interesting to hear Samuel talk about the threats of change and how they actually, in the Maasai, they need to guard themselves against change, how dangerous change can be, how destructive. Often when we talk about change, it's positive and something to aim towards. Hearing that was really important, how change can be seen in that way and how that discussion about what change means before you start doing any work, before two groups meet, two different cultures, two different communities meet, to look at what they want to do together to shift, really need to look at that and make sure you align on that level. So for me, that was great to be doing that, and that's something I want to be doing on every project and in every case.
Thank you, Soleil. Good message. I would like just to ask everyone just to see and write on the chat a couple of compliments or feelings that you would like to share with Soleil as appreciation, as a gratitude of her bringing the content of the organization she's working. So if you would like just to share a couple of words in the chat. Yes,
Yeah.
Robert?
Yeah, and while you're doing that, I guess this is a prompt for all of us to look after our participatory video team. I mean, we've all handpicked some additional folk. I mean, some of us are doing the participatory video course, but we've all picked others from our own organization. So look after them, because they're the ones who are going to really tell our story. It's wonderful.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Soleil. Thank you, Robert. I'm going to share you now. I'm going to give you a little suggestion that I haven't really talked to you, Robert, but I think might be something different. I'm sharing actually the Miro board file. Now we're going to have the chance to hear a little bit about the organizations. And I know that we have all that circles that I'm going to share here with you. So instead of writing in the chat after here, we're giving the gift and the present for Soleil, because she's not officially one of the organizations handing on one of the projects, but you are totally involved in this too, as a Latin American as well. But at this moment, we're gonna have the organizations that actually are being part of this program. And in the Miro board, you will have the chance to see their bubbles. I say bubbles, the circles like this. So during the time after we have the presentation, I will invite everyone, instead of writing on the chat, we keep the appreciation notice, questions, anything that we would like to share with that organization, bringing up a couple of those post-its and bringing closer to them. If you would like to see and check which organization we're talking, most of them, they do have a little, oops, Marcelo, the name of them. So here, oh, here is Opal, but this Opal is 2023. But we have here community conservation. Then we have University of Hohenheim, who is going to be presenting also their projects. So during this meeting and during the time that we're going to be all together, I will invite all of you to come and open this Miro board. And by the time you have questions, appreciation, recommendations, suggestions, take the time to offer us ourselves some of your content and your opinions. And maybe you would like to connect after to have a conversation, because projects are very common. Let's just to put there, and after we can take a time and have this moment of us being gifted by everyone. Today we're gonna have a special time after we have all the presentations before the break. We're gonna have a couple of minutes for David, Paul, and Robert to give us some information, also their point of view, and sharing with us their point of view related to what they heard. But at this moment, we're gonna just have that time to make sure we don't lose all this precious moment and suggestions and compliments and appreciations. So I know it's weird because we're gonna start our presentation of Collapso at this moment. Marcelo, would you like to start? We just decided to be first, not because we would like to be, it's just because usually people do not like to be the first one. So we said, okay, we try to be the first ones after a side share, but let's go. Let's see. Marcel, would you like to share and start, or would you like me to do it?
Yes, I can. I just shared with you the Miro board link, so you can go there anytime you want. So you can put your suggestion and comments and appreciation. All right. I will share with you something about Collapso and the project we are involved with. And please, Michelle, help me with that as well. Right. So just find here where's my, just a second, here it is. Right, can you see my video? Yeah, can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we are Brazilian ecosystem of organizations, and we are very interested in rethinking the impact on the world through new forms of life. And we talk a lot about innovation, collaboration, and happiness. But in terms of this endeavor, we are actually very interested now in support an indigenous community. And we've got a beautiful and enormous change now in Brazil, because we are very involved with a political constraint right now. So this is a very challenging period for indigenous community in Brazil. So our question now is actually, how can we support the indigenous community endeavor, and also at the same time stay safe, because safety is a very important question in Brazil now. So we are very involved supporting a couple of indigenous leaders, and we want with them to prepare for something bigger in the first half of 2023. So this will be something that we want to scale up in terms of a purpose-driven initiative. They want to make it different, make a new way of life for indigenous people in Brazil. And this is very, very interesting project, because it's based on an experience of being with the urban areas in Brazil. And one of them, the woman, came back to her community, and she's trying with her husband to bring an enormous example of change for the indigenous community. So I'm going to share with you something of what I'm trying to talk. This is where Brazil is the map of Guarani community, indigenous community in Brazil. Is a very, very long tradition in Latin America of Guaranis. And unfortunately, they've been murdered, and they are not so much now in Brazil and in Latin America. So they are really trying to survive. And this is a map of, you can see in the yellow and blue circles where they are. And we've got a report that can give you an idea of that, this violence against indigenous people in Brazil. Maybe Michelle can share in the chat. And what we would like to, well, this is the community we are talking about. This is in the south of Brazil, and they are near here, is near Tarumã. I don't know if you can see here. And this is small communities of people, and they're not so many people there, but they are trying to actually make a point in terms of. Yes, Michelle, can you help me on that?
Yes, can I help you very fast? Just because we have 1 minute and 40 minutes, 1 minute left, like almost 1 minute and a half.
Please.
I think one of the main issues that we are having at this moment in our project, thank you, Marcelo, is actually to see as an example, and we have the aspiration to impact out the whole community that you could see. This is just one indigenous community that we have in Brazil. This is Guarani tribe. This is not all of them, but they're all spread out because they're considered as nomads. But at this moment in the regions in Brazil, they're trying to find the basic territories because they're taken care by the state. They cannot be taking care of themselves according to our constitution. And at this moment, our president is actually not proactive for this caring of these people, and especially of the environment. So when we see, can you change us a little bit, Marcelo, on the previous slide? When you see around, this is not this is like an old one, but if you take a look, just the region that indigenous people is really actually taking care of, and they could be the responsible for that land, it's not destroyed by the industries that we have around. So today is a very big issue, but we are combining a very nice ecosystem to try to work in this project. It's one of the projects that we are running in Collabso. Can you go to the next one? And this is one of the main key players that we have. So we have the missionary people who's actually working with the indigenous cause. It's one of the most ethical and reliable organizations, unfortunately, in Brazil. We have Collabso, and we have a university which calls the Univille, because we need to have that type of experience with the students and everything else. So at this moment, we're running without this organization, and it's been amazing. But the first thing that we've been seeing that is the most important thing is to develop this type of relationship. And at this moment, to map everything that is going around. But our main aspiration, can you go to the next one, please, very fast, is actually to have this, because this is our strategic question. What would it look like in 10 years' time if our indigenous spiritual and cultural heritage was revived, preserved, appreciated, and fully integrated with the broader establishment? And at this moment, we're using and sharing the tools and the technologies that we've been having to weave the best way of the ecosystem for that. Can you take that off, Marcelo, for now? So just for, yes, we're making all this process. Amor, você pode tirar pouquinho? Que a gente já tá com tempo. So we have the whole thing that is being done, but I think we share with a couple of you already the video that can bring a little bit of content, what is being very important for us to share what is happening on the territory, but knowing that today we're running and trying to do something that is not, it's not that simple. It's a very complex thing, but it's important because it can start on this little piece and go throughout the whole country in the Guarani tribe. Ana, can you please share the video for me, please? So just to finish a little bit about the content. who already had the opportunity to watch, just to have the time and send us a lot of energy to put and have this Indigenous cause happening in our country. And this is just a symbolic moment of how we actually deep connected with the land and also connected with the deep understanding of the importance of a relationship, but not just with among ourselves, but also with the nature and also with their ancestors, which are based on that place. So we're actually planting together, serving, honoring, and actually offering the food of bringing that content to that piece of land together as leaders of this program and that little piece of area. So thank you so much. And now I would like to invite everyone. Okay, I'll clap this hand because I really get very emotional with those people, which are the hope of our world.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle.
So at this moment, actually, I'm practicing a lot of my matrix. And we're planning about having a collective matrix related to the causes and the conditions that we're having in the country at this moment related to the Indigenous people. So thank you, people. Thank you so much. This is actually the space that we feel stronger on this cause. And now I would like to invite the next organization to come, which will be Conviver. Josaphat, is that with you? Thank you so much.
Microphone different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, sorry. I'll screen share. Oh, thank you so much for having us, and it's been a delight to be watching this presentation, and particularly actually today the first two presentations engaging Indigenous communities. Our project, we're based in southern Brazil at the Federal University of Paraná at the lab Interagir, and I would like to talk about the DIGA project, which is part of our broader Conviver initiative. And we depart from the challenge on how can we enhance social responsibility in Brazilian children and adolescents, and actually looking at the civic roots of citizenship, really, and as a character strand. And by talking about social responsibility, we're talking about how well children endorse collective norms for supporting the well-being of others, by helping others, solving conflicts peacefully, and altogether favoring the common good of others and what they do and how they feel and how they think. So, but this not only happens since it's a character strength in the social domain, not only happens at the individual level. So you need to think about it in the context. And in our particular project, in the fourth, we've been focusing on the school context and how it can irradiate and foster this character strength to other, to the broader community even. And in its development, this is like a rough timeline, but in 2016, we actually got started when we were looking around for initiatives and support to develop an anti-bullying program. That's how we actually got started. And we identified the WICS programs in Canada, a widely successful and well-evaluated program that was open access. And it looked like a good fit for the Brazilian context. And we managed then to establish the Conviver initiative. But at that moment, we were still exploring what type of resources we would like to develop. And in that initiative, we worked with over 100 schools, and we co-developed, we used then design thinking strategies to conduct a very broad needs assessment regarding convivencia, regarding relationships in the school context, and also to identify what priorities schools had. So this is an overview of the schools involved at that stage of our work. In the next step, we identified that we needed more targeted and focused resources, and that's when we further developed the DIGA program. And the DIGA program, it's a school-based, we would not call it a curriculum because it goes beyond a curriculum. It also provides a common language through which children can learn the skills they need to act as socially responsible citizens in their proximal community. It can be their classroom, it can be in their home, and we also encourage adults to act as role models. And in the next steps, we're also hoping to engage children further, giving them opportunities to improve their community. So it is something well aligned with the purposes of ProSocial. So DIGA even during the pandemic, that was just before the pandemic, we brought children in to work and give feedback and co-develop some resources. And even during the pandemic, with 60 schools followed us. And you can learn more about our program in the DIGA. I'll send the link in a minute. But we got to a point where we have pretty much in the terms of the evolution of our program, we have a good set of resources, but several of our schools are not as engaged as we would like, because many of these schools, their teachers are overburdened and they are not cooperating as well as they should. And since I mentioned positive role models of socially responsible adults are key to nurture children's social responsibility, we thought that we should act upon that. And what better way than to work on co-developing something with them, even further, like it's been since the beginning. And earlier this year, for example, this started actually last year, we launched our mascot, the Digo, who's been visiting schools. But when Digo was visiting schools, what we realized is how much fun children have in the leisure activities, and actually because of now with Mateus and Felipe who follow, they are actually in the participatory video project, and that's actually the character is Felipe in there in the costume. But how can we increase engagement of school members in the implementation process through co-developing new resources, DIGA in Motion, engaging school members, and Mateus and Felipe? Or I can continue if you'd like.
Então, pessoal.
Right, so in view of this scenario presented by Josaphat, we thought about creating this DIGA em Movimento, DIGA in Motion. The purpose of this project is to promote social responsibility, pro-social leadership, the development of character strengths among the students by means of sports, to help students lead proactively with situations of conflict, and also to help them deal in a peaceful manner in these situations. So this project currently has been done together with the schools, and the focus is being defined with them together with these schools. And along this project, this DIGA in Motion is going to be done in a very participative and collaborative manner, right?
Thank you, Mateus. And I think one point to highlight is that we decided then to start, with focus on one school to restart with the basics, because we realized that we were getting, so big that we needed to go back and get more stronger in terms of engagement, of co-development, co-ownership of the program before scaling up.
Thank you, Josefa. Is it finished? Oh, okay. So thank you so much. Much appreciation. So if you guys have the time, please put either in the chat. Thank you so much for your time, and the presentation was wonderful. Thank you also for Felipe. And what is the name of the person who is with you, Felipe?
Mateus.
E o Mateus. Muito bom, gente. Obrigada a vocês dois estarem aqui presentes também.
Thank you so much for being here.
Next, thank you, Josefa, for the presentation. Take your time, guys, if you have the opportunity to either put in the chat on the Miro board also the compliments and messages would you like to leave with these organizations. And I think there's a lot of things that can come as well as opportunities to work together, because many wonderful organizations that we have here. At this moment, I would like to invite Positive Design, Sonia, Violeta, and where is Maria Paula? Maria Paula? Oh, yes, right there. To all of you.
Thank you, Michelle. I don't know if John is here with us. He was planning to, but I don't know if he got the time. Can I share my presentation? Yes.
Share, please.
Okay, 5 minutes. We have like a combination of the TWCF project that we started with on gratitude and the ideas that we have now with John, Maria Paula, and Violeta. So we are planning to run our videos on positive experiences on well-being, and we want to connect this with gratitude and forgiveness. This is our plan, and it comes from the work that I have been doing on gratitude because of the TWCF project, plus the work that John Castro is been doing in his university on well-being in young people, in adolescents and young adults. I would like to start emphasizing a couple of things that Paul and David mentioned, and the main issue in our project was to give children and youth a voice. So when we proposed to Templeton this project on gratitude, our main focus was that the project should be under children's perspective, not under research or adult perspective, which is what usually happens when we talk about children's well-being or children's development. We ask parents, we ask researchers, we ask policymakers, and we very seldom ask the very own protagonists of the story, which are children. So that was the focus of our program. And I would like to emphasize these other work connections because this project is giving me a lot of connections, and today is probably the best example. But we started the project connecting with two wonderful professors from the design department in my university. That's the reason of our name. Positive Design of a program to promote gratitude in children was because we were working a team of psychologists. We are kind of not very good in creativity. With a team of designers, we are excellent in creativity. So we combine these two teams to bring this program to a happy ending. So these are two main focus that I would like to emphasize. I'm gonna stop sharing this, and I'm going to share another screen, which is, I don't have time to show you the videos, but before we were working with you, with Robert and Paul and David, about making videos, we introduced these in our project, and we made some storytelling videos with the kids about what they thought about gratitude. And they are beautiful, but it takes like 3 or 4 minutes each of them. So I wish I could share all of them with you, because they are wonderful stories. So this is just some ideas from their videos about what they think about gratitude. And it highlights all the main important things related to gratitude. Gratitude is about family, is spending time with grandparents, which are very important in Latin America and in many other contexts. So these kids were talking about grandparents too. These are the whole videos. I'm just going to show you a sentence that they highlight in their own story. This girl, which shared with us a beautiful story about her birthday, said gratitude is love, friendship, and solidarity. It's very hard to see all these complex words in their voices. They are 9 and 10-year-old kids. It feels amazing to be grateful for something. They are not only beautiful kids, but they say beautiful stuff. I said, gratitude gives me love. Gratitude is helping others. To share can be with my loved one. It feels very peaceful because my family is here for me, and so on. So I'm going to go back to the other presentation, which is not as nice, but so we were working with some beautiful experiences from the kids. So the things that we are bringing to ProSocial are the results of this TWCF Positive Design Program on gratitude. We had done some work on forgiveness, which is very important in Colombia, considering our social and economic and political context that we have been living. Well, we are now in a different situations, but it was our real life during many years. So forgiveness is something that we want to promote too. And we have been doing something on well-being in adolescents and young adults. So this is our team now. And as you can see, we are all happy to be here. So we wanted to share you the picture of us right now. John is a professor in Universidad Sanitas here in Bogota, Violeta and Maria Paula that have been working with you all Tuesdays. And the idea that we have right now is just to have a sense of well-being experiences in Colombian young adults and see how gratitude and forgiveness relate to these well-being experiences. So we are kind of connecting our expertise, our previous work with this new idea that we want to offer to ProSocial. So these are our main questions that we want to explore. What are young adults' well-being experiences, and what is the role of gratitude and forgiveness in those experiences? So this is what our contributions is gonna look like. I hope we can bring the beautiful video tapes as the ones that you just show us today, which are just great. But we are very excited with Maria Paula, Violeta, and John to explore this connection of topics and people around ProSocial world. And I think that's all.
Thank you so much, Sonia. Wonderful as well. Also for you, Maria Paula and Violeta, who's coming together with Sonia in this journey, and you both are being with us. So, and also I think it's Joe. What is his name? Sorry,
John.
John. I will say Jose. Okay, John. John, also that he's being together with us. So thank you so much and having the
Sure.
time.
Thanks
And
for the
hopefully-
time, Michelle.
I'm very interested to come and have that in Portuguese and bring to Brazil. Vai, Josaphat, that's the hyperlink that we can bring Sonia to Brazil and Paraná to have that
Sure,
forgiveness
I will go right away, anytime.
forgiveness. I need to, and gratitude. Those two things, so wonderful, beautiful skills. So now at this moment, take the time also to congratulate and have your time to post some of the suggestions, questions, compliments to Positive Design. And I'll invite One Pencil, Helen, to come and introduce a little bit about what our One Pencil is doing at this moment.
And I will share my screen as well, and then turn off my video because, oh, well, let's see. Sorry. For some reason, it's freezing on me a little bit.
Okay, let's try.
Okay,
We can hear we can hear you, but it's kind of maybe when you close maybe you close.
Okay.
Yes. Let's try. Yeah, much better.
All right, is that better?
Yep.
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. So the overarching research program for the One Pencil project and the Tsimane Scholarship Fund has been to focus on academic research that works in communities, public health, social science, the sciences, and tries to increase commitments to long-term community research projects and improvement of quality of life with participant research groups. And over the last 20 years, cross-cultural research in particular has become more and more popular, especially in public health, global health, and the social sciences. And so we started One Pencil in hopes of striving to improve standards and perspectives for engaged scientific research. One of the smaller projects that we're doing right now, or more focused projects outside the large goals of One Pencil, is actually taking research that has been done, providing it to communities, and then asking communities how they want to use that research moving forward. And so I worked on longitudinal work looking at children's educational outcomes, mostly with performance on tests and exams that are linked to better health outcomes, better income, things along those lines. And one of the just groups that I worked with in Bolivia, in particular, Tsimane Gran Consejo, said they wanted to do and they wanted to focus on was increasing the number of individuals from their communities who could support their communities on a political and national stage. So having representation legally in the fields of medicine and public health. And so we have begun funding schools, primary and secondary schools all through the regions, roughly 25,000 people. This year we reached every school in the Tsimane region. And also we're now focusing on, and this has been the main project moving forward, or the most expensive aspect of our project, is putting kids into college who are interested in going into college. So since working with ProSocial over the last year, we were able to collaborate with a national university in Bolivia who has agreed to make access to schooling for indigenous communities, particularly those who are rapidly transitioning to the market economy, to give them access to schooling and support so that they have linguistic support, cultural support going through school, transportation to and from school, funding for food, and then resources for schools, so books and housing. And so that's been our focus so far. The Tsimane Gran Consejo is really interested in this and they've told us as much, but they're very concerned about using the limited funds that they do receive from their government on scholarships because there has not been a lot of success in the past, particularly because of racism, lack of access to resources, things along those lines. So our main focus has been supporting kids through school. We have now the first Tsimane lawyer who's studying land rights And also the first, the girl in the bottom left-hand corner, Dayanara, is the first medical student. She's going to school for medicine. All of the students, we now have 8, have agreed to study tourism, law, education, medicine, with the agreement that they will go back and support their communities when they get home. And so after this,
Así que después de este otoño, yo voy a estar yendo a Bolivia a trabajar con el Gran Consejo y esperamos de que ese sea el proyecto más pequeño ahora, haciendo entrevistas cuantitativas, cualitativas con el Gran Consejo para ver cómo se sienten las comunidades, cómo se siente el liderazgo del programa hasta ahora y si están dispuestos a colaborar y apoyar a estos estudiantes a medida que se avanza dentro de los próximos 5 o 6 años. Así que tenemos en este punto y, como dije, estaré yendo en octubre.
Again, support for their school supplies. We've created a house with the Chumani Health and History Project, which is another large research project that provides cultural and emotional support for all of the students so they have a safe place to live and learn. And we provide transportation to and from school and also to and from their communities. And that is actually allowed for the first female college students to leave Chumaniland and go to college because there was always concerns about safety and losing cultural identity. But so far, it seems like we've done enough job that the Chumani Gran Consejo has been very happy, and they sent to us 3 girls this year to study at the university. So with that, that's the end of our and the end of my picks so far. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Helen. Amazing project, right? Wow. Wow. Hopefully we can have that in Brazil as well. This is an amazing opportunity to think and see what wonderful projects are happening in different parts of the world, and also to enhance opportunities to build bridges throughout the other countries and regions. Hopefully everything is working. Gail, please let me know if everything is okay in English now. If not, just let me know, because then we can try to set up, but I think interpretations on the bottom.
It's okay. Yeah. It's
Okay, wonderful. So next one that I would like to invite, it's gonna be La Jungla. Where is
Hola,
Lauren?
aquí estamos, La Jungla.
Okay,
Hola.
okay, Lawrence and Diego together. Okay, with you.
Voy a compartir
I'm
pantalla.
going to be sharing my screen. We're going to be presenting in Spanish. Yes, no problem.
Lorenzo, just if you do have many things written in Spanish and you would like to have and make sure that they can understand, just read a couple of the slides so the interpreters can translate it.
Ok.
Okay, vale.
¿Están viendo?
Sí.
Bueno, hola, mi nombre
Hello
es
to
Diego.
everyone. I am Diego de la Fuente. I'm here with Lorenza. And as you can see in the screen, in a certain point in this place called Valparaíso, which is a port city in Chile, as you can see, has sea, has mountains, has creeks, and multiple different colors, as you can see in its architecture. And that's a reflection of a very special characteristic of the city, which that since the end of the 19th century, it became a very important port between the Atlantic and the Pacific. And that made that the first qualities related to globalization in the continent to start. And today, Valparaíso is considered a patrimony of mankind due to its huge diversity, human diversity, and that at the end, it allows us to see day by day very high complexity regarding relationships that take place in this city. Added to this, we have that in Chile, we've been experiencing lately a very intense process of social uprising. Since October 19th of 2019, people started to go on protests, and that led to a new constitution. Then we had a pandemic that kept us on lockdown for quite a while. And we activated a process of reflection, very intense, regarding our bodies, regarding our health, both mentally and emotionally while on lockdown, and also creating huge amounts of discussions and dialogues that started to make us ask ourselves, how can we start creating a change at the social level that can truly allow us to have a better way of living, a better living. And in this sense, we thought, in order to reduce complexities, we picture ourselves as animals within a place that allows us to be free, like a jungle, to facilitate change. And from there, from that perspective, is when we decided to start this initiative of La Jungla, or the jungle, where we use the most popular sport played in Chile and most likely in Latin America to create a change. That's our slogan, because we saw that relationships that are created by playing this sport are very reduced to just a common normal soccer played mostly by men. And we wanted to open up this game experience and creating good relationships in the field, in the soccer field, and then take those relationships outside the soccer field, and therefore we define a purpose that you can see on this slide. We are a community, a learning community created from the passion that moves us from playing a different type of soccer with purpose. Through this game, we create collaborative spaces based on local action that can allow a connection and awareness of the people about the problems and concerns that are local to contribute to the sustainable world and an inclusive world. We are the jungle and we play to change. Along this whole journey of trying to find social transformation, we have carried out 7 soccer tournaments. One of them was in Algarrobo, which is around 1 hour away from Valparaíso. And in this graph, we just wanted to show you the participation of women and the participation of people that don't identify with either gender. We started with 6 women in the first tournament, then we went to 9, then we went to 11, then we went to 19 people, then to 20 women or people that don't identify as either male or female. Then in Algarrobo, we had a small participation of 9 people, similar to the second one. And for the last one that we have carried out, called in La Place Los Oficios, we have had 23 participations. These are the names of the tournaments. We named the tournaments to create awareness from the different topics that we establish for each tournament, and we also try to support the local economy, for which we try to find sponsors that resonate with us and can support us and are aligned to our values. We started with just 1 sponsor in the first tournament, then we went to 7, 8. For the 5th tournament, we had 13 sponsors. In Algarrobo, 11, and for the last one, we have 19 sponsors. So at the end, what we try to show is that we've had an increase of participation of women, of people that are non-binary, and an increase as well of sponsors. As La Jungla, this has been our journey so far for the last 2 years. Through tournaments, we can also see the 6 tournaments that we carried out in Valparaíso, particularly because we organized from a core team of 7 people, and we were trying to comply with each one of these roles. Each one of these post-its have different roles, but the idea is that we were identifying needs and roles that we were complying with, and we categorized them. After this, to have a more participatory structure from those colors, pink, white, blue, orange, we went into creating these circles. Instead of us being a structure of 7 in La Jungla, we want to becoming a participatory structure where different people were getting committed with a type of role that they were interested in. And each role had defined objectives or defined activities. And people that were identifying which is one of these circles or roles were supporting according to their role. So we ended up having 5 circles and the core team. This was our restructuring that has been taking place for the past 2 months, approximately, where we've been trying to use a Sociocratic methodology to apply this. Everything has to do with participation. This is fundamental, has to do with the commitment, and our decision making is through reaching consensus. Here I wanted to show you a video of this process.
Laughing gas, these hazmats, fast cats, lining them up like ass cracks. Ladies, ponies at the track, it's my chocolate attack. Shit, I'm stepping in harder this year. Yeah, bear repping in harder this year. Watch me as I gravitate. Ha 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 ha. We gon' ghost town, this Motown with your sound. You in the blink, gon' bite the dust, can't fight the dust. With your sound, you kill the ink. So don't stop, get it, until you shed the head and watch the way I navigate. Ha 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 ha.
Bueno, entonces esta es una
So
manifestación.
this is just a little taste of how we've been working in a participatory manner in this new restructuring. Since our slogan is "We play to change," after we play, we get change, we get together, we meet, and we try to create change in our communities. And we use certain platforms as well. Trello, for example, to be able to organize our events and the dates in which the events and the roles, for example, of the people that are involved in each one of different activities. We use Instagram to communicate directly with different people within our audience. We have a group of around 150 people. And WhatsApp, Instagram, 150 people on WhatsApp. Instagram, we use it to communicate what we're doing outwards, what we're doing regarding impact and trainings and invites for the general public. We have almost 2,000 followers, and we use Google Forms to collect information. We are always trying to administer surveys to ensure that our events are a safe space and they feel a sense of belonging with our project. More quantitative than qualitative, to be honest. So these are also, we do qualitative that has a lot to do with a lot of broad, open-ended questions. LinkedIn, we've been starting to use it recently, and Drive, Google Drive is that's where we document all the material and all the materials to keep a repository of information. And this whole path that we've experienced in the sessions and learning about the social part, we have realized about certain critical factors that are manifested in diverse manners. And we would like to mention them. Number one is reestablishing the current institutional system, which is manifested in which that in our community, there's the necessity to create a collective sense of trust, to be able to live in coexistence, not only with the environment, but also with human relationships within our communities. Then another critical factor that we identify is to have approaches that are focused on adaptiveness to different contexts. And a third factor, which is about funds, resources, and technologies aimed at the necessity to create alliances and partnerships and to focus on getting different partners that share our same values. We know that to create a huge change, we need to have small, local initiatives that are accessible, that are linked with a network, and creating alliances is something that can really make a lot of sense to scale this up. So today, just almost closing now, we are a learning community with a defined purpose that makes decisions based on consensus and works day by day to be more and more inclusive and sustainable. There's a gap that we're trying to address, and we wanted to present today our idea of starting to distribute and create alliances with other territories. Since soccer is a sport that's played in pretty much everywhere around Valparaiso, the idea would be to be able to connect with other places in the same city with the way of addressing the different problems that we currently have, trying to achieve that each different community and each different territory can address their needs with their own tools, but at the end becoming a network and following the methodologies or the tools that we have been developing in our experience as well. So the idea is to scale this up, to start creating more, to create a bigger network with different territories, and even scaling up at the national level. And that's where we acknowledge that both in Valparaiso and in other places of Chile, it's where for example, we've tried to start a tournament regarding recycling, for example, because we know it's a pretty big topic right now, and it's very important. So we've been trying to work on that and trying to carry out different researches on this. And we think that we could also have tournaments aimed at recycling. The topic of recycling could be very important. And if we scale this up in such a way, we could also start getting articulated and linking with other territories in the region. As you know, recycling is something that it's very important, and it's always going to be linked to the needs of each different territory. So that's a little bit of what we wanted to share. That's where we're on La Jungla, and we're here to play to change. Real quick, what Diego mentioned on, we are going to, once we get to a territory, we set up a community with the people from the territory, from the community. They can identify their own needs. They can identify their own needs as a community, and we help them with the methodology of getting organized, the sociocratic organization, setting up the tournament based on their own needs. That's what Diego meant, says Lorenzo. Wonderful, wonderful, Lorenza and Diego. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Also, I'm going to make an invite. Please putting up also put up, we have some people that can really help us out making that combination of the associations. We can link you up with them. Thank you so much. Congratulations. We would love to create a jungle in Brazil as well.
Brasil, lo siento, pero Brasil gana
I'm
todo.
sorry, but Brazil tends to win every single soccer game they play.
No estamos tan bien. Necesitamos un poco
No,
más.
we're actually not doing so good lately. Yeah, but I do think that
Sorry, I try to switch languages. I think it would be a great opportunity because this is a different language, but it's a common language in Latin America. I think soccer is a wonderful opportunity to have as a common language in our continent. So congratulations, Lorenza and Diego. Wonderful for that too. And now I'm going to invite, I'm sorry, David, this is going to be the time. I'm going to invite you and Paul. I know you grabbed something to eat.
I was
but
actually
if
going
it's okay, Robert, yes?
I was going to suggest, Michelle, Paul, David, and I can save our comments till later. I just was
Okay, and
watching
then
the
we can have-
time. So I wonder if we should give ourselves just a short 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and finish the presentations.
Wonderful, thank you. That's wonderful, Robert. Is it okay for all of you? Just 5 minutes and then we get back. And then we have all the outcomes and the suggestions, recommendations, or reflections in 5 minutes. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. See you in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you Thank you so much. And also, I think this was a suggestion, recommendation of video from Josefa. So thank you, Josefa, as well. And now I would like to invite and continue with our presentation. So everyone who's here, please open your cameras if you feel comfortable and the opportunity to just to make sure you're here, because we would love to have those presenters also having the audience to support them with this beautiful project. Thank you so much. Lina and Ricardo, are you guys ready?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I will start just giving an introduction in English, and afterwards I will give the presentation in Spanish. So so we are working, we both, Ricardo and I are working at the University of Hohenheim in Germany. However, for the prosocial process that we are working on, we are focusing on a personal project that is a social entrepreneurship in Colombia, and I will be presenting something about our first pilot, and we are just starting. So you will have with the presentation, hopefully you will have an idea of the people we will be working with. You will be seeing some nice images of the place over there, and you will also listen to just shortly typical music from this place also. So it's kind of like a collage piece. It's a combination of images, of music, and the text that I will be giving you. It's it represents everything what we have learned until now from the community, the perceptions, our perceptions from the place, the richness also of the place, and not just, obviously not just economically speaking. So yeah, I will just start with it. Okay, just give me a moment.
Lina, is that a video?
No, it's just the music. Can you hear the music, or
No,
you cannot?
no. The music's not, it's not playing. Okay.
Okay, sorry. So I will just take it. Sorry, stop
But
sharing.
the image and the words already say a lot.
Yes, I didn't check sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Okay, entonces escucharon un
Very
poco
well.
de
So you just heard a little bit about a little bit of the music, and for many people from Colombia, this music brings us and takes us to the Orinoco part of our country. Specifically, we're going to be talking about a place that's called Tame. Tame is found in the region where the western mountain range of Colombia fades. It's a territory with a warm climate. It has fertile lands and very rich subsoils and rivers. There's a biodiversity in its vegetation and its different types of different animals. We have people that are very strong and happy. It's a green landscape
palmas dotada de amaneceres
with
sonoros.
beautiful palm trees filled with sunrises and very colorful skies. It's a land that, due to its great richness, it has not been well treated, and it has been a space of conflict where resistance and the hope to be able to live in peace have been the lights that lighting up the path, a path that also inhabitants of the El Mapoy go through. There, a community has been growing with a deep connection with nature. Its forests and the land are the most sacred thing for them, which represents for them a true source of life, of admiration and wisdom. In the search of alternatives to maintain and strengthen their territory, to resist external pressure that only thinks of the natural environment as resources to be exploited, they have created strong links of cooperation with La Palmita Research Center based on shared values that brings them together regarding the importance of conserving biodiversity, forests, water, and protecting life and the territory. A community garden has been the fruit of the collective work where different plants of palm and trees are grown to help regenerate the forest. They see in a different way why for the rest of the people seems important, impossible, trying to find in conservation different life forms, and from there trying to give sense to their community, expressing their identity and building their future. We're brought together by the value of the palm trees, for example, the moriche, the tree of life. For this reason, we started a relationship with the community of Mapoy and the La Palmita Research Center in Tame, aimed at trying to strengthen processes around the promotion of social biodiverse economies, regenerative economies, and innovative economies, as a way of contributing to the conservation of biodiversity and providing livelihoods to the community. This is how we want to contribute in the process of creation of networks of value, using native plants such as the fruit of the moriche palm to create general products. We would like to become this in a territorial income generation system for Colombia and from Latin America. How? Integrating local points of view of use of the nature, establishing adaptable ways of governance, creating the necessary knowledge to ensure the feasibility of the project, and developing a productive process at a human and natural scale. Community gardens. Thank you so much for your attention. And I just wanted to finish with a little bit more of the music of the song.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lina. Delightful, Lina and Ricardo. What's the name of the dance? Joropo. Could you show us in a different meeting? You can show us a little bit more. Wonderful.
A dance class as well as a warm-up and a check-in. Check-in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So if everyone would like to just share a couple of your thoughts and compliments related to your presentation, beautiful storytelling. So now I would like to invite the next organization. Let me just double check. I think One Earth Conservation, and then after we share the videos, is it okay, Robert?
Yeah.
Okay, just changing everything because I need to set up. Gail and Sylvia, I think. Is it okay for you to come now? Because then the next ones, people is not here, so we're gonna just share videos.
It's fine. I'll be doing the presentation. So let me just start my slideshow. 1 second. And oops, I just realized I have to share the screen first. Okay, there we go. Okay. Hi, I'm Gail Cullen. I'm co-director of One Earth Conservation. And we've created a project working with Pro Social World that we're calling Save a Parrot, Save a Forest, Save a People. And the core activity of this project will be getting the message out. So why save a parrot? One Earth Conservation's experiences in conducting more than 35 years of parrot conservation work in Latin America has taught us that whether parrots are trapped legally or not, trapping drives a demand for these birds and always causes a lot of harm, suffering, and often death to parrots and other beings, including people. Parrots are also found on 4 continents, so they're a type of animal where what we do here in Latin America can be replicated elsewhere in the world. An important element of our work is to preserve the natural habitat sufficient to sustain wild parrot population. Why save wild chicks if they don't have any place where they can live and thrive? Also, parrots are seed dispersers, so they play an important role in the ecosystem of the forests where they are found. Illegal trafficking targets and exploits poverty in indigenous communities. In places like Honduras and Guatemala, where macaws and Amazons are all but disappearing, some people are confronting the violence and risking their lives for their parrots. On the lower left, you can see some of the participants in our Great Green Macaw project in Honduras, where an assassination attempt was recently made on 2 of the project leaders. Thankfully, they were not injured. The photo in the upper right shows a ranch owner in Guatemala who lost his life protecting the nest of wild yellow-naped Amazon parrots. We must reduce the demand, stop the trade, and ensure that there will be no new birds in cages. The goal of this project is for a coalition of international stakeholders to create and implement an international campaign to stop the demand for parrots to be kept in captivity. The hope is that this campaign will grow to the point where Save the Parrots will be as common as Save the Whales. During the transition to no birds as pets, people will turn to adopting captive parrots from sanctuaries instead of buying them from breeders or smugglers. Eventually, we seek to change people's behavior internationally so that it becomes socially unacceptable to keep parrots, and perhaps other birds as well, in cages or as pets at all. We seek to create a movement. And to begin, we are going to organize a brainstorming workshop this fall with a smaller group of committed people who are concerned about parrots. The goal of that workshop will be to put together and implement a larger international workshop next year that will result in a strong, impactful campaign to get the word out. Part of this workshop will be a focus on organizational intelligence, which is a critical skill for all movements to develop early in any campaign. We are already starting to do some of this work with our US-based partner, Foster Parrots, which is one of the largest parrot sanctuaries in the United States. In addition, we are going to pilot a project in Honduras called the Community Council Project. There, we will work with our partners to improve organizational intelligence in that part of the world and allow their voices to be heard more clearly. These are communities of mostly indigenous people. We will also introduce them to using participatory video as an important tool. The goal of the Community Council is for the Honduran people to rally around the Great Green Macaw and local indigenous people, so much so that the government will protect the forest and in fact become a true international ecological leader. If this does not happen, the communities will still have the tools and social capital to continue to nourish the seed of self-determined conservation activities. All of the above together will help us get the message out. No more parrots in cages. And that's it.
Oh, thank you, Gail. I can feel the energy and the challenges, and I really honor the work you guys are doing. You ladies, amazing ladies. Also Sylvia, I think Sylvia's here, right, Sylvia? Thank you so much for all the effort and a wonderful work and self-resilience, because that's what we've been feeling in Brazil right now due to our challenges that we are having, because this is one of the worst times, I believe, in our countries related to these causes. But I really honor and these wonderful souls working beautifully towards this wonderful ecosystem that is needed. So thank you so much. Bringing now the videos, Robert, I think we are inviting now, Terry is in India. I think she's gonna share a little bit about where she is and why she's recording this video for us. And right after, we're gonna have Joe's from Earth Regenerators, who's also in Barichara, struggling with a couple of challenges, overloads of projects, but he sent also a couple of messages, a short message and also pictures. And I'll ask your advice, Robert, if you could help me with that. And then we can bring the final presentations for tonight before asking and inviting David and Paul and Robert to compliment.
Hi friends, my name is Terry Allendorf. I'm the Director of Community Conservation. I wish I could be there virtually in person to present this, but instead I have to do a video. I'm sorry, since I'm in India right now, so if I was presenting it'd be 1:30 a.m. in the morning for me, so I've put together this video instead. Community conservation has been around since 1989 as quite a small organization working sort of one by one on projects with partners around the world in more than 15 countries on nearly 30 different projects. We recently lost our founder, and in the past few years are trying to transition into an organization that has scaled up and has more impact on the world and can really change the way that we think about communities and biodiversity conservation around the world. So we've started working with our partners from all of our previous projects, trying to tie them together in a network. And for about a year, we've been meeting monthly and developing ideas and trying to understand each other's projects, because the partners have never had contact with each other before, even though they've all worked with community conservation. So we're trying to build a real network from our very first project from the 1980s in Belize to our most current and new projects in Malaysia and Nepal. So we also have projects in Africa. So we have projects across 3 different continents, and we're trying to tie together these partners. And Pro-Social and this process is really helping us try and tie some of our ideas together. And 3 of the things that we propose that we would like to do through this process is, one is figure out stories of change, their motivations, their values, the reasons that they want to conserve biodiversity. And one of the reasons this is really important is first because, you want to hear the stories of both the communities and the partners themselves, but also to show the diversity of stories behind individuals and communities and the heterogeneity in the values and the motivations that people have. So we found that communities and people in the communities everywhere want to conserve biodiversity, want to conserve their natural resources. For some people, it's primarily because their livelihoods do depend on it. They depend on those protected areas and natural resources for water and fertile fields and clean air to breathe, for their health, for plants from the forest that they may eat or use for medicinal reasons. Other individuals also want to conserve natural resources and biodiversity for the sake, the intrinsic value of having endangered species survive, like elephants and chimpanzees and orangutans and some of the higher profile species, or a diversity of bird species. So people are just motivated by a number of different values and different combinations for each individual. Just often tend to homogenize communities when we just use the word community as if, oh, everyone wants to do this or everyone wants to do that. And that's not true. And that's a really important piece of the story, to understand communities and how and why they participate in biodiversity conservation. Second, we would like to create a common language, because one deficiency we see in the idea of community conservation is that everyone will use the term. Every organization says they're working with communities to do community conservation. But from our perspective, community conservation really means biodiversity conservation led by communities, where they have the capacity and the management skills and the knowledge to actually be monitoring and managing and sustaining biodiversity according to their priorities and values, and also with the knowledge of the global value that their biodiversity has. And this is really, you know, powerful, but often when people say they're doing community conservation, what that means is they're doing awareness raising activities under the assumption that communities don't understand the value of biodiversity and that they need to somehow be taught that value. Or that communities need compensatory livelihoods to make up for lack of access to biodiversity, so that they'll want to conserve it. So their livelihoods focused, and those livelihoods may or may not, those activities may or may not be linked to the forest and the biodiversity. So we would like to help develop, we want, when people hear the term community conservation, to really think about, oh, what is the community actively doing to conserve biodiversity? What is their capacity and skills, and what support do they need? And then finally, we also want to have all organizations working in biodiversity conservation do a better job of sharing how they're actually working with communities. Sort of what I call community audit, a community conservation audit, where they can lay out, where they can understand and truly describe, the range of activities they're doing and think about them analytically, right? So yeah, we're only doing awareness raising, or we're doing livelihood, and that's community adjacent conservation, right? That might be related to the forest and biodiversity, but it's not actually communities doing biodiversity conservation. We want people to distinguish, awareness and livelihood type activities from actually building the knowledge and capacity of the communities themselves to manage and have tenure and control over the natural resources and biodiversity in their landscapes. So those are the three of the things that we would like to do to bring together ideas globally around community conservation and really try and change how we talk about communities and biodiversity conservation. And ProSocial has been a great experience for us to try and sort of get some of these ideas on paper and really have a chance to work as a group around these core concepts. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.
And just so everybody's aware, Terry, she also sent a link to a YouTube video that I've just put in the chat that I won't show now, but this is a YouTube video that captures all of her partners. It goes for about 4 minutes. And so if you want to actually get a sense of the community she's working with, just take a look at that.
Thank you, Robert. And now we have our final, I think, presentation that is going to be from Earth Regenerators based in Barichara, also in Colombia.
Hi, everyone. This is Joe Brewer here from Earth Regenerators and the work we're doing in Barichara, Colombia. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about how we're doing the work that is using ProSocial here. There's a lot that I could say about what we're doing with Earth Regenerators, but I'll let that be another story. Here in Barichara, Colombia, we are using ProSocial processes to initially, we set up an advisory council for distributing a regeneration fund, which enabled us to support 15 local projects and invite and engage participants from those projects into a weaving process that kept growing our capacities and increasing our movement toward a territorial scale of work. And that's my daughter in the background right there. And then later what we started to do was begin a process of exploring and learning about foundations that work at the territorial scale, enabling us to start working on experiments in community philanthropy and in creating community-oriented funds that work strategically in different areas. One of those areas has been in the transformation of local food systems by working with a network of campesino families led by a wonderful local woman named Margarita Higuera, who has been working with campesino families for years on gathering knowledge about native plants. Elise, I need you to wait, sweetie, because I'm giving a little video here. And really building trust and collaboration among people here to engage in reforestation around agroforestry systems and around learning the uses of native plants and how to process them to create highly nutritious foods that are also valuable to sell into the tourism market. And then also more recently, about 5 months ago, we started a project to create a Syntropic Agroforestry Learning Center, which focuses on running workshops that set up demonstration projects, where we have about 30 students participate in a workshop, learn the fundamental principles of syntropic agroforestry, and then participate in 2 years of fieldwork designing and constructing a syntropic agroforestry system that then we can maintain and grow as a community demonstration site. And we've been doing this work in several of the veredas, or rural zones of the territory, to build collaboration, to cultivate leadership, to attract youth from the countryside, to train them and build their confidence that they can engage in a different type of local economic activity that will restore native ecology and preserve historical traditional culture. And then there's other work that we're doing in the area working on trauma healing after decades of violence and environmental destruction, focusing on education of children. And there's a wonderful local organization called Fundación Ojo de Agua, the Eye of Water Foundation, that has been working to train children in elementary and middle schools in the methods of photography and interviews to be able to create documentary films and theater, and then perform the theater or produce and do public showings of the documentaries that they create to engage people in community processes. And so, as you can see, we're working across many scales and with many different community groups with a decentralized web of cooperative efforts. And we engage in pro-social around creating shared mission and purpose, cultivating shared identity, restoring trust and confidence after a history of violence and fragmentation, and building a framework where we can work on growing to the scale of 500,000 hectares of land to restore the local ecosystem that is unique in this region, and create a prototype of a regenerative economy at such a large scale. So that's a little flavor of what we're doing here in Barichara, and my partner Ceci, or Maria Cecilia, does a lot of the work with organizing the workshops in syntropic agroforestry and working with the children's groups, creating educational materials, and communicating and coordinating with groups across the territory. So we just have a lot of great people doing this work, and it's such an honor to share it with all of you.
So that's Joe's video, but he also sent these photographs to give you a sense of the work he's doing. I feel like there should be a lively soundtrack to this. Can you imagine the music in your mind as you're watching? Amazing work.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you also, Joe. Hopefully he's having the chance to see and watch that after. I think Joe has been working with ProSocial. I think David and Paul maybe can mention a little bit more about that after. But he's been working with ProSocial for a long, long time, much like way before. And also he's American, but he moved to Barichara and fell in love with Latin America. So I think it's wonderful just to see how much this powerful opportunity that we have, that we're just starting connecting with ProSocial, but since we already have this being born in Latin America, the fortunate opportunity and experience to be shared. So now I'll invite you, Robert and David and Paul, to give us some.
So I wonder, let's just before a wind up, let's capture some numbers. Let's do. I'd like to actually do the poll and find and find out how many people we're actually influencing directly and indirectly in a sense of region. And then Paul and David and I can kind of wind up with our reflections and any questions.
Wonderful. Yes, let's do this. This is going to be the same Mentimeter. And then I'm going to be sharing here because we're going to put lots of information related to our programs and project. I gave you an example. So actually, how many people, species, right, and or area of environment are being impacted by your initiatives? Where are your initiatives are located, countries and city? I put just an example in Collab.so at this moment. We're working directly with 120 people, with actually students and indigenous people and volunteers and organizations who's actually supporting this whole system that we are just starting at this moment. We have a potential because this is a kind of an innovative way of working together with the community, with the white community, how they call us, of 51,000 Guaranis, which are all around Brazil. So this is one thing that is happening in this small area, but we have this potential. And also we have the potential of involving just the University of Univille, which they have around 8,643. That's actually something that we're working, but we know that we have potential of something that goes beyond society, volunteers. But at this moment, those two areas, we know that we have that directly opportunity to impact. Okay, we are based in Brazil at Aquari.
Yeah, and I wonder, as you're posting it up there, put the name of your organization as well, like, you know, your organization and you, and then the information as Michelle's posted. And you can put several submissions, of course.
Thank you, Gail. I know that this is really hard because when we thought about numbers, it's really hard to find a border.
So is that your message, Gail? Around 30 people, one key native plant species? No, that's someone else. Who's that one?
This is Astrover, Dina Ricardo.
Okay.
Yes, forgot to put the name, sorry.
No, but that's okay. Related to Tame? Is that how you say? I think it's easy to find after.
Tame, yeah.
Tame.
Tame. Thank you, Lina. Thank you, Ricardo.
Yep, you're welcome.
Yep. So I'll give you a few minutes.
See, this is not an easy question when we start thinking, but because it's the impact usually that we give, it's like way beyond. But okay, trabajamos directamente con 60 personas.
It says we work directly with 60 people with which we play and change our environment. Indirectly, we impact a social network that has influence in around 250 people. La Jungla, Valparaíso, Chile. Thank you so much.
Okay, Paula. Gosh, what a fascinating question. He blows my mind in how many people we might be affecting with 700 facilitators in 35 countries with projects like yours. A little old me sitting in my office in Canberra. It lifts me up. That's true, Paul. See, this is a compliment and making you see all the efforts and how much your work is actually deploying so much of awareness around the globe. Wonderful work.
There's a comment from Gail there too.
One Earth Conservation, I believe we provide livelihoods for about 100 people in Honduras alone. They work as parrots, rangers, conservationists. Yeah. This 2,000, is it yours? Namibia, Angola, and the US. I think this is one pencil, right, Helen? I'm not sure. Cannot hear. Yes.
Helen, yeah.
See, I'm already knowing the countries where all the organizations are. Wonderful. Conviver, 300, 400 students, além de famílias e comunidades.
In addition to families and communities, 300, 400 students.
Also, then they have the families and communities that are impacted by their youth. It's wonderful. Wow. Who else is here? Let me check because I'm not. Maria Fela, do you have an idea of one pencil of positive design? Sorry.
Oh,
Oops, Helene, I think your audio is, I think now you're froze. Okay, comunidad educativa en colegios de Bogotá.
Educational community in schools in Bogota, 60 children, 60 parents, 8 teachers. In this new phase, the intention is to impact the university community. Wonderful. Is there an idea of how many people does the university community have?
We're figuring out that, but it's probably a similar sample than with the students from high school.
Yeah.
Maravilloso. Okay. I think we have everyone.
Creo que ya tenemos a todos. Robert?
Yeah, that's great. And I think, I mean, Conviver, Digger, they put a thing in the chat. I just posted it. And positive
Okay.
design, there's another one in the chat.
35,000 students, diversas especies de loros y guacamayos en peligro de extinción. Sí, afortunadamente. Unfortunately, yes, we do have that diverse species that are almost in extinction. Positive design, comunidad educativa. Ok, tenemos esto
yeah.
también.
Amazing. So let's do a really, just a quick sum from the top. So if we've got 120, that's 150, 210, gosh, that's 910, 1,010, keep going, scroll down. 1,010, well, 1,100. Gosh, was Paul's one?
Big numbers, big numbers.
Yeah, big numbers. So it's well over 1,000, maybe 1,500. Amazing. Yep. Yeah.
Just a little bit of the simple, because you're actually not talking about the potential. I think some of them where they put it, but actually the impact, it can be way more.
Yeah.
Thank you
maybe-
so much.
Yeah. So now closing impressions, you know, questions from David and Paul as we wind up.
Well, Robert, you should begin, because you're such an important part of this. You're not just the MC. So let's begin with your closing impressions, and then quickly Paul and I can follow you.
It's, I mean, the immediate impression is bringing tears to my eyes. In fact, you know, it's I feel very honored and privileged to be working with such extraordinary people who are embarking on such important work. And I'm looking forward to continuing this journey as we learn from each other how we can actually collaborate more effectively in order to try and impact the problems we've got. And so I guess my immediate impression is one of just extraordinary goodwill and altruism and service to humankind on this planet. And it is just so needed and applauded. And I'm feeling honored to actually be on this journey with you and to be having to support you in the ways that I can. I'm all very grateful to you, David and Paul, for championing us in this work. I'm looking forward to completing this year. I think this year we're all learning how we can actually go through this process together in order to prepare us to repeat the whole process again next year. So and so that's my immediate impression. I feel as though we're on a steep learning curve, and we're learning something about how we can actually collaborate as a collective of organizations who are working in very different spaces. Education with the environment and biodiversity, as well as at the community level. and asking just incredibly important questions. So I'm looking forward to completing the first cycle and getting to that celebration and asking ourselves the question, so what have we learned? So that next year, when we invite others that we really care about into this cycle, we can be a more powerful team of facilitators of change. I mean, as Pro-Social World says, you know, we're more consciously evolving yes, well, orchestrating consciously orchestrating evolution. I'm tired, in the service of a greater field of influence and needs. And so that's my impression. Just a lot of inspiration, huge gratitude, and feeling very honored.
Do you mind if I jumped in? Because I'm going to open up a meeting in a minute. I want to echo something that Robert was really picking up on there, and I just want to kind of capture the idea that we here in this group are part of consciously evolving a better world together. And so I'm putting a request. I mean, Robert made this request, but I will also want to echo it, that wonderful as this journey is, that you're able to really fully participate in giving us feedback about what it takes to weave together multiple groups, because that is your contribution to something even larger than your project. And I think, as David flagged at the beginning, this could be a transformative project in the world. It could be a demonstration project in the world. And yeah, so our strength together is going to make that possible. Thank you all. I've got lots of questions about individual projects, but thank you. It's been wonderful. David.
Well, I'll keep it brief to stick to time. My overall impression is that cultural evolution in the wild is really wild. So it's been so great to see all these projects. And another thought I have is that it's easier to add science to the art than it is to add art to the science. And the fact that so many of these projects make rich use of the arts with dance and music and theater, and for it to have that be the starting place, I think gives it a kind of a vitality that that it's it's easy enough to add the quantification and so on and so forth. When you start out at the science end, it's not so easy to add the art. And so I just love the vitality of these projects. And I think just the last thought is that I began by saying just the fact that we're talking to each other, that we have this framework for talking with each other, that we have a common goal, that we're all pro-social, and is so much all by itself. That's like the framework for cultural evolution before we add the formalities. And so I share Paul's and Robert's, and I hope all of us, a sentiment that we're doing something very important here. And I think that can sustain it. I think the fact that it is important and is something that we want it to continue. And so I think that that's so good that it has that kind of strong foundation to build upon. So thank you to everyone for participating. We are so grateful.
Thanks, David. Well, I think that's it, folks. I mean, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time, and we'll regroup and we'll finish off the conversation about polycentric governance, which is actually more of the same conversation. What does it actually take for us to truly collaborate in a way that preserves life, not only our own, but the life that's on this planet in future generations, and take stock. I think we're now kind of crossing a threshold where we can actually take a more informed look into what we might get up to next year. So I'll see you in a fortnight.
Okay, everyone.
Thank you so much. We can just say goodbye. I'll be sharing just a little bit of a song, but feel comfortable about going? It's just because we started with the Guaranis, and I would like to finish with the energy of them. They just say thank you and
Beautiful.
may our nature, may our children, may our everything in our community just grow. So thank you so much for everybody. Wonderful job, wonderful work today. Thank you, David. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Robert, and everybody who is putting so much support to this program and project. Have a wonderful week. And then we can see each other. Like we will see each other in 2 weeks. But hopefully we can have more messages and share your videos in the WhatsApp group. And then we don't need to wait for so long to see what is happening, because this is an amazing project, an amazing journey. Thank you so much. And we see you in 2 weeks time. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Adios.
Adios. Ciao, ciao.
Adios. Ciao.
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 Ciao.